Now that we already understand how fire starts, the next important question is, what kind of fire are we dealing with? This is very important because fire is not controlled using one method only. Hindi pwedeng ang mindset natin ay basta may apoy, kuha lang na extinguisher. We need to know first what material is burning. Fire is classified based on the type of fuel involved. The fuel tells us what class of fire it is, and the class of fire helps us identify the correct extinguisher or control method. The reason this matters is simple. Using the wrong extinguisher can make the fire worse or put the worker in danger. For example, water may be useful for burning paper or wood, but water can be dangerous if the fire involves energized electrical equipment. If we spray water on an electrical panel, outlet, or computer equipment that is still energized, we may expose ourselves to electric shock. So in fire safety, we do not only ask, where is the fire? We also ask, what is burning? Class A fire, ordinary combustibles. First is Class A fire. Class A fires involve ordinary combustible materials. These are materials that can leave ash after burning. Examples are paper, wood, cloth, rubber, plastics, cartons, office trash, and some furniture materials. This is very common in office and service workplaces. In a company setting like or other office-based workplaces, Class A fuel may include bond paper, file folders, cardboard boxes, tissue, packaging materials, office chairs, partitions, curtains, or trash bins. So imagine this situation. Boxes of documents are placed near an overheated extension cord. If the paper catches fire, that is most likely a Class A fire because the fuel is ordinary combustible material. For Class A fires, the usual control method is cooling. Water can cool ordinary combustibles, but in the workplace, employees must still be careful. If there is nearby electricity, do not use water unless it has been confirmed safe. This is why many offices use multi-purpose fire extinguishers, commonly labeled ABC, because office fire risks may involve a combination of ordinary combustibles, flammable materials, and electrical equipment. Class B fire, flammable liquids and gases. Second is Class B fire. Class B fires involve flammable liquids and gases. Examples include gasoline, diesel, oil, paint, thinner, solvents, alcohol-based products, LPG, and similar materials. In an ordinary office, Class B risks may not be as common as Class A or Class C, but they can still be present. For example, alcohol-based sanitizers, cleaning chemicals, aerosol sprays, fuel for generators, maintenance solvents, and LPG in pantry or canteen areas may create Class B fire risks. The important thing to remember about Class B fires is that the fuel can spread. Flammable liquids may flow along the floor or surface, and if they ignite, the fire can move quickly. This is also why water is not always appropriate. If water is applied to some flammable liquid fires, it may spread the burning liquid and make the fire bigger. So for Class B fires, the control method is usually smothering or interrupting the combustion process using the correct extinguisher such as foam, dry chemical, or carbon dioxide depending on the situation and available equipment. Class C fire, energized electrical equipment. Third is Class C fire. Class C fires involve energized electrical equipment. This is very relevant in office, BPO, shared service, and IT-based workplaces. Examples include computers, monitors, printers, photocopiers, extension cords, outlets, electrical panels, UPS units, routers, network switches, appliances, motors, and server equipment. In simple terms, Class C means the fire involves equipment that is still connected to electricity. This is very important. Electricity itself is not the fuel. The fuel may be plastic, insulation, rubber, or nearby combustible material. But because the equipment is energized, the electrical hazard changes the way we respond. For example, if a printer catches fire while still plugged in, or if smoke comes from an outlet or server cabinet, we treat it as an electrical fire hazard. The danger here is electric shock. That is why water must not be used on energized electrical fires. For Class C fires, extinguishers like carbon dioxide or dry chemical are commonly used because they do not conduct electricity the way water does. But again, only trained personnel should attempt to extinguish a fire, and only if the fire is small and there is a safe exit. If the power can be safely isolated by authorized personnel, then once electricity is removed, the remaining burning material may be treated according to its actual fuel type. Class D fire, combustible metals. Fourth is Class D fire. Class D fires involve of combustible metals such as magnesium, titanium, sodium, potassium, aluminum powder, or other reactive metals. This type of fire is not common in ordinary offices. Most employees in office and service workplaces may never encounter a Class D fire. However, Class D fires may be relevant in specialized industries, laboratories, manufacturing, aviation, metalworks, or facilities that handle reactive metal dusts or powders. The important reminder is this: Class D fires require special extinguishing agents. Ordinary extinguishers may not work and may even create a dangerous reaction. So if employees are working in a normal office environment, Class D may be less likely. But if the company has a laboratory, workshop, production area, or special materials storage area, this class becomes important. Class K fire, cooking oils and fats. Fifth is Class K fire. Class K fires involve cooking oils and fats. These are usually found in commercial kitchens, canteens, cafeterias, food preparation areas, and pantry operations where actual cooking is done. In an office, this may be relevant if there is a canteen, concessionaire, cooking area, or pantry equipment using cooking oil. Cooking oil fires are dangerous because oil can reach very high temperatures. If water is applied to burning oil, it can cause violent splattering and spread the fire. This is why oil and grease fires require the correct extinguisher, usually a wet chemical extinguisher for commercial kitchen use. For ordinary employees, the practical reminder is simple. Do not pour water on burning oil. Alert others, activate emergency response, and use the correct equipment only if trained and safe to do so. Why fire classification matters. So why do we need to know these classes? Because the fire class guides our decision. If it is paper, cartons, or trash, that may be Class A. If it is alcohol, solvents, fuel, or LPG, that may be Class B. If it is still connected to electricity, that may be Class C. If it is reactive metal, that may be Class D. If it is cooking oil or fat, that may be Class K. The extinguisher must match the fire class. This is also why employees must read the label of the extinguisher. Fire extinguishers usually indicate the fire classes they are designed for. For example, an ABC dry chemical extinguisher is commonly used in offices because it can address Class A, B, and C fire risks. But that does not mean every fire should be fought by employees. The extinguisher is only for incipient or early stage fires and only when it is safe. Now that we already understand what fire needs to start and we already discussed the different classes of fire, the next question is, how does fire spread? This is important because fire does not always stay in one place. Kahit maliit lang ang simula ng apoy, it can spread quickly depending on the workplace condition. In office and service workplaces, fire can spread through different ways: conduction, convection, radiation, direct flame contact, and flying embers or sparks. Understanding these methods helps us understand why early reporting, early alarm activation, and early evacuation are very important. Number 1, conduction. First is conduction. Conduction happens when heat travels through solid materials. For example, if one part of a metal object becomes hot, the heat can travel to the other parts of that metal. This can happen through metal pipes, steel frames, equipment parts, doors, wall materials, or metal cable trees. In an office setting, let us say there's overheating electrical equipment near a metal surface or cabinet. The heat may transfer through that material and affect nearby combustible items. Another example is an electrical panel or equipment room. If a component inside overheats, the heat may transfer to the panel enclosure, nearby wires, insulation, or materials placed too close to it. So the lesson here is, even if the flame is not directly touching another object, heat can still move through solid materials. That is why we should not store paper, boxes, cleaning materials, or plastic items near electrical panels, equipment rooms, server racks, or heat-generating appliances. 2. Convection. Second is convection. Convection happens when heat moves through hot air, smoke, or gases. This is one of the most dangerous ways fire spreads inside buildings because hot air and smoke naturally rise. They can move through corridors, open doors, stairways, ceiling spaces, elevator shafts, utility shafts, ducting, and ventilation systems. In a multi-floor office building, smoke from one area may travel to another area very quickly if doors are left open or if there are open pathways. This is why during fire evacuation, smoke is often more dangerous than the flame itself. Smoke can reduce visibility, irritate the eyes, affect breathing, and make evacuation difficult. In a BPO or office environment, workers may be focused on their computers, calls, reports, or meetings. But once smoke starts starts to spread, conditions can change very fast. That is why we take alarms seriously. Hindi natin hinihintay na makita muna natin ang malaking apoy bago tayo mag-evacuate. Smoke and heat can spread ahead of the fire. 3. Radiation. Third is radiation. Radiation means heat travels through the air and heats nearby materials even without direct contact. A simple example is when you stand near a bonfire or hot stove. Hindi ka naman hinahawakan ng apoy, but you can still feel the heat. That is radiant heat. In a workplace fire, radiant heat can cause nearby materials to heat up and eventually ignite. For example, if a fire starts in one workstation, the heat may radiate to nearby chairs, partitions, papers, curtains, plastic materials, or boxes. Even if the flame has not yet reached those materials, they may become hot enough to burn. This is why distance matters. Combustible materials should not be placed near heat sources, appliances, electrical equipment, or any equipment that may generate heat. It is also the reason why we should not go too close to a fire. Even if the flame looks small, radiant heat can injure the skin, damage the eyes, and make the situation unsafe. Understanding how fire spreads helps us understand why evacuation must be early and orderly. Sometimes employees think small smoke lang naman or maybe false alarm lang. But in fire safety, we do not wait for confirmation by sight. We follow the alarm and emergency procedure. Fire can spread faster than people expect. Smoke can reach areas before flames do. Visibility can drop. Breathing can become difficult. Exit routes can become unsafe. That is why during a fire alarm, employees should stop work. Secure only what is immediately necessary if safe and proceed to the designated exit route. Do not delay evacuation because of bags, laptops, documents, or unfinished tasks. Life safety comes first. Another important point is the role of doors. If it is safe to do so, closing doors during evacuation can help slow the spread of smoke, heat, and flame. An open door allows smoke and hot gases to move freely. A closed door can act as a barrier and may give other people more time to evacuate. But remember, do not lock doors. Do not delay evacuation, and do not close a door if doing so will put you in danger. Only close doors when it can be done safely and quickly. In office and service workplaces, fire can spread faster when there are unsafe conditions such as poor housekeeping, excessive paper storage, carton boxes near electrical equipment, open doors, combustible materials in corridors, blocked exits, improper storage inside electrical or server rooms, and cluttered pantry or storage areas. These conditions add fuel and create pathways for fire and smoke. So when the safety officer or facilities team reminds everyone to clear hallways, remove boxes, keep fire doors closed, and avoid storing items near electrical panels, it is not just for compliance. It is for fire spread control. Fire can spread in more than one way. It can spread through conduction, convection, radiation, direct flame contact, and flying embers or sparks. Because fire and smoke can spread quickly, employees must not ignore alarms, smoke, sparks, or burning smells. Early reporting, clear exits, good housekeeping, proper storage, and immediate evacuation are important because they help prevent a small fire from becoming a major emergency. Now that we already understand fire classes and how fire spreads, let us talk about one very important question. When is it safe to use a fire extinguisher? This is important because many people think that when there is fire, the automatic response is to get the extinguisher and fight the fire. But in workplace safety, that is not always correct. Fire extinguisher use is not about bravery. Hindi ito paramihan ng lakas ng loob. Fire extinguisher use is about correct judgment, proper training, and personal safety. The main rule is this: life safety first, fire extinguishment second. Meaning the safety of employees comes first before property, equipment, files, computers, or office materials. In an actual fire emergency, some employees may feel pressured to do something immediately. They may think, kailangan kong patayin ang apoy, or baka lumaki, ako na bahala. But we need to be very clear. Employees should not risk their lives just to save property. A computer can be replaced, a chair can be replaced, documents can be reproduced, but a life cannot be replaced. So before using a fire extinguisher, we must check several conditions. If even one condition is not met, the safer action is to evacuate and let trained emergency responders handle the situation. First, the fire must be small and contained. This means the fire is still at the early stage. It is not spreading quickly. It is not reaching the ceiling. It is not moving to nearby furniture, curtains, papers, boxes, or other materials. A small fire may be something like a trash bin beginning to burn, a small paper fire, or a very small fire in a controlled area. But if the fire is already spreading, if the flame is already taller, if it is reaching nearby materials, or if smoke is already filling the room, that is no longer a fire that an ordinary employee should fight. In that situation, the correct action is evacuation. Remember, a fire can grow very fast. What looks small now may become dangerous within seconds if there is enough fuel, heat, and oxygen. Second, you must be trained. A fire extinguisher may look simple, but during an emergency, people can panic. If you are not trained, you may forget how to remove the pin, where to aim, how far to stand, or how to sweep properly. Training helps us know not only how to use the extinguisher, but also when not to use it. This is very important. Knowing how to operate an extinguisher is only one part. Knowing when to walk away is also part of fire safety. So if you are not trained, do not experiment during an actual emergency. Alert others, activate the alarm, evacuate, and report to the emergency team or fire brigade. Third, the correct extinguisher must be available. Not all fire extinguishers are the same. The extinguisher must match the class of fire. For example, if the fire involves ordinary combustibles like paper or carton, that may be Class A. If it involves flammable liquid, that may be Class B. If it involves energized electrical equipment such as computers, outlets, printers, or server equipment, that may be Class C. If it involves cooking oil or fats, that may be Class K. Using the wrong extinguisher can make the fire worse or create another hazard. For example, using water on energized electrical equipment can expose a person to electric shock. Using water on cooking oil can cause splashing and spreading of fire. So before using an extinguisher, look at the label. Check if it is suitable for the fire class. In many office settings, you may see ABC dry chemical extinguishers because they are intended for common office fire risks. But even then, do not assume. Always check the label and follow the company's emergency procedure. Fourth, you must have a clear escape route. This is one of the most important rules. Before using an extinguisher, always position yourself with your back toward a safe exit. Ibig sabihin, habang sinusubukan mong patayin ang maliit na apoy, may malinaw kang daan para makaalis. Never allow the fire to come between you and the exit. Do not enter a room to fight a fire if you are not sure you can get out safely. Do not move deeper into the area. Do not trap yourself in a corner. For example, if a small fire is inside a storage room and the only exit is behind the fire, do not attempt to fight it. Evacuate. A fire extinguisher is only useful if you can still escape safely. Fifth, the alarm must be raised first. Before anyone attempts to use a fire extinguisher, other people must already be warned. This means activating the fire alarm, informing nearby employees, calling the emergency response team, or following the company's reporting procedure. A worker should never fight a fire alone without alerting others. Why? Because if you fail to control the fire, valuable time has already been lost. Other workers may still be inside the area unaware that there's an emergency. So the sequence should be clear. First, alert. Second, evacuate or assist in warning others. Third, only if safe and trained, attempt to use the extinguisher on a small fire. Hindi pwedeng tahimik lang nalalabanan ng apoy. The emergency procedure must be activated immediately. Sixth, you must not be exposed to dangerous smoke or heat. Smoke is very dangerous. In many fire incidents, smoke can injure or kill faster than the flame because it affects breathing and visibility. If the room is already smoky, if your eyes are irritated, if you are coughing, if you cannot see clearly, or if the heat is too strong, do not continue. That means the area is already unsafe. Also, if you feel heat on your face, arms, or body even from a distance, that may mean the fire is already too intense or spreading. The correct action is to evacuate immediately. If smoke or heat is already affecting you, leave the area. If it is safe to use the extinguisher, remember the basic method. Pass. P. Pull the pin. Remove the safety pin so the extinguisher can discharge. A. Aim at the base of the fire. Do not aim at the flames. Aim at the base because that is where the fuel is burning. S. Squeeze the handle. This releases the extinguishing agent. S. Sweep from side to side. Move the nozzle side to side at the base of the fire until the fire is out. But again, pass should only be used when the conditions are safe. Even if you know pass, you should not use an extinguisher if the fire is too large, if smoke is present, if you do not have a safe exit, or if you are not trained.